inspired by another all-time great in a different sport. A reminder, Keyshawn J. Will Zubin coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. Here's the King.
Home cooking, you get an opportunity to see your mom and get a home-cooked meal. Saw my uncle. Just felt good to be back in my, in my haven, my rest haven, and that's being home. So, and also, obviously, you get inspired watching the greats play and, seeing Brady, see the things that he did with that team. That inspired me as well. But I just felt pretty good. I mean, as I have the whole season, I've been getting better and better as each game goes on, and felt good from the beginning and just trying to keep it going.
Indeed. 46 points, 115, 108.
Dropped it on their head, Zubin.
Yep.
21 in the fourth, Zubin.
Drawing some inspiration from Tom Brady, and key to make it to the 1% like you and Jay did. Inspiration and reasoning can come from any place.
No, it can. When you think about it, he mentioned Tom Brady and inspiring him not only to drop 46, but to continue to keep playing at their age and trying to win championships. For me, it was just simple: beat the odds, get drafted, beat the odds. I did that. That was something that was done. I wasn't chasing a yellow jacket. If I was chasing a yellow jacket, I would have played another 5 years just to get the numbers to be able to justify going into the Hall of Fame. But because I retired early, more so, I left years out there because I had already beat the odds. My goal was to buy my mother a home, to get my mother out of poverty. That was my goal, so I can be like LeBron and say, I'm going home to get a home-cooked meal. Doesn't mean I'm going home because that's my house. Doesn't mean that I live there. It just means that I'm going home to that rest haven that I feel comfortable with, the surroundings, much like he did in Cleveland, and he scored 46 points. So it's always, what's your goals? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be in your career? And for me, it was just simple. I want to make it to the National Football League so I can buy my mother a home. One of the first things that professional athletes tend to do, especially when they're drafted high, they tend to buy their parents a house. Usually house for mom, car for dad. Right. I didn't have a dad, so I didn't need to buy a car.
Gotcha.
I gave it to my brother. So when you look at it, you say to yourself, what are you chasing in your career, Jay? Right? When you what fulfills you? Why are you still playing? And so when I got to the end of my career, I was like, I accomplished everything. What am I still to satisfy me? Not to satisfy SportsCenter, but to satisfy me. I had won a Super Bowl. I had been an MVP in a real Pro Bowl. I had played in championship games. I had gone to Pro Bowls. I have gone over 10,000 receiving yards, 100 catches in a season. I've done all that. So I was like, well, what is there left to do? I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Now, I'm going to go join Countdown and work for ESPN, another goal of mine. That was it.
It's always interesting. Yeah, fulfillment it's a variety of things to different people. And it's funny how, guys need motivation. You go through long seasons, Key, the grind. And, last night was a prime example. I'm sitting up there late watching the game, and it's going into the fourth quarter, and LeBron James misses a fadeaway to close out the third. And there are a couple players on the bench of the Cleveland Cavs that are getting up and are clapping. And they're kind of like talking to LeBron, like, yeah, you missed that one. And I'm watching LeBron bark back at him. And now I know fans would say, why is LeBron James barking back at people? That's petty. He doesn't need to do that. But you have to find ways to get yourself motivated throughout each individual game because there are a lot of games, right? So then LeBron goes up for 21 points in the fourth quarter because that got him to where he needed to be. That's how my mind was always built. What are a series of motivational things that I can find throughout the course of my day that keep me inspired, to keep me hungry, to keep that flame burning, right? Because at the end of the day, you're only chasing after yourself and what goals you want to set for you. But if you don't, you have to set what those targets are in order to keep chasing after, in order to keep fueling that fire, Zubin.
And that's the same thing with Terrific Tom, Tom Terrific, as I like to call him. Whatever that goal is that he wants to reach that 45 years old, that's a goal to continue to play till he's 45. And in the mix of playing till he's 45, I'm going to collect some more hardware along the way. I'm not going to just be a guy that's on the team because I got a uniform till I'm 45. I'm wearing the logo till I'm 45 years old. No, I'm actually out there kicking your ass till I'm 45.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants to do. And so that's his goal. So everybody's goals are extremely different. Again, you play, because you enjoy the game. It's a fun game to play. But at the same time, there's fulfillment with the things that you have in your foresight that you want to get to and reach.
Yeah, that's a very clear-eyed and macro approach. I would say two things, one about Brady and then one thing everybody in the audience could, I think, relate to. With Brady, the guests this past week, the guys that have played with him, Benjamin Watson, Matt Castle, they all said Brady needs football. Football is like oxygen to Brady. He needs football, whereas Key just actually literally wanted to breathe, right? So that's kind of the dichotomy when you look at it. Now, here's the other thing I would say about leaving on your own terms. That's the big thing. I've always been amazed how much fans, guys that didn't play, what is Keyshawn's legacy in New York? If it's not that important to Keyshawn, why is it that important to me, right? Michael Jordan is ruining his reputation by going to the Washington Wizards, and Jerry Rice was the 5th receiver on the Denver Broncos, and he got cut. How could Jerry Rice do that to himself? And I'm thinking to myself,
well, actually, I don't mean to cut you off, but actually he made the Broncos.
But Jerry is a 5th receiver, right?
I know, but he did make the team.
He did.
Yeah.
Right? So I look at it and say, listen, if Michael's okay with it, if Jerry's okay with it, then why are we as fans so apoplectic and upset about it? There's something about leaving.
Because fans are always angry at something.
Because you live vicariously through us. I get it.
We buy your jersey.
I understand it. I respect it. I love it. That's why I treat fans with the utmost respect until they become you-know-what holes. Then I got to treat them as such.
We already did one of those this morning.
But I didn't finish. I didn't give you all of it. I said, you know what? But that is how it is. Like Jay mentioned LeBron barking at the fans. I'm going to bark back at a fan too if I'm in a game and he's talking trash. That's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with it. We're not in physical confrontation. It's just a conversation that I'm having with you.
Right.
But fans will be fans. You know how many times I've been called a bust in my career?
Countless, I would imagine.
I can't even count. Won't you be the number 1 overall pick, go for damn near 11,000 yards and however many catches and win Super Bowls and do all of that and play with all the quarterbacks that I play with? I'm happy with that, though.
But Key, you know how that goes?
I'm content with that because much like you said, Zubin, I left under my own power to be able to walk.
Very liberating, right?
Hey, man, I'm out. I'm done. I'm going to work for ESPN. Could have continued to play, but I fulfilled my dream and my promise. So why do I need to chase? I don't need to chase. When the longer you play, the more numbers you have. It takes nothing away from those that play long. But we must understand, the longer you play, the more statistics you get. Mm-hmm. Let's not fool ourselves here.
And we're more numbers obsessed than ever.
So I stopped at 11 years with pretty good numbers. Had I played 15 years, I'd have ridiculous numbers. I didn't want to do that to be chasing what? Another ring or a gold jacket just to be able to say, oh, I'm one of the great. No, when I played, I'm not even worried about it. My 11 years that I stepped on the field, I wouldn't trade my career for nobody's in that 11 years.
Last thing I'll tell you, it's whatever floats your boat. You might laugh at this story. Like I said, you guys have made the amount of money that most people like myself can't fathom. Our listeners can't fathom. I mean, that's what it's like when you're at the very, very top. But it's just a matter of what it means to you and where your priorities are. I'll always remember this story. For many, many years, I covered the Denver Broncos before I worked at ESPN. And Jake Plummer called a press conference one day at the Denver Athletic Club, kind of like a posh little club downtown. He walks up to the press conference in his shaggy beard. He was a good player in his time, great college player at Arizona State. And he simply said,
Jake the Snake.
I'm doing this here right now at the Denver Athletic Club because I'm retiring from the National Football League. Thank you for covering me. And now this is not a joke. I'm going to play doubles racquetball with my brother. His passion in life was racquetball. So he basically just said, fellas, it's been real. Now it's time to put my goggles on and hit the racquetball court. And you know what Jake always says? I wake up every morning and I have no aches and pains. I go running for 3 miles and I don't feel a thing in my body. That's priceless.
Man, absolutely, Jay. People thought I was crazy when I retired. I'm like, man, I'm not playing no. I want to go do TV. I'm good. I want to go do television.
Those practices get tougher and tougher as you get older, kid.
You know, it wasn't even the practices. It was that to fulfill. I did everything. What am I chasing? Like, what am I chasing?
And make sure when you're chasing it, you're the one that's chasing it, not chasing someone else's dream.